there has been a lot of people involved in this book, because it's a lot of different things there, and actually we had underestimated how much work it was to make this book, and therefore it has taken more time than planned to finish this book. There has been people involved writing the storyline, making exercises, we have illustrator, layout, and the texts are recorded. So there have been a lot of different actors involved in the recording of the text. But now in this finishing, we are finishing the book, and we are in the last phase where layouts are made, and the small corrections and changes are made. Then there are us three. So we have, we can present each other who we are. So I'm Snorre Karkonen Svensson. I work with languages all of my adult life. I have always been interested in Latgalian, because I also come from a language with two written traditions, and it has been fascinating with such a situation also in Latvia. And I also studied Baltic philology, and there I got this interest in Latgalian language, because there was a subject on Latgalian language there also. And I have always been thought, why haven't Latgalian language the status as it should have in society? And also I'm interested in language learning and teaching, so this could be a contribution to Latgalian language by making such a textbook, because it's something that practically doesn't exist. There are some materials for children. There has been a more, in St. Petersburg University, there was some material made, but very more theoretical and philological, not that like a textbook for language and foreign language. So it's something that I felt this is really lacking. So that was why this idea of making such a textbook came up.
My name is Alice Birnbaume. I have been involved with language teaching for several years and development of learning materials, but the language in question was not Latgalian nor Latvian, but Norwegian. But that being said, I feel like I have some background of helping people to learn another language, which has been helpful in creating exercises or deciding about how we present the language. I'm also an avid language learner myself, so if I was not Latvian, I would probably be the target audience of this textbook, because yes, a smaller language that people are not so very interested in as of yet. Something challenging, that really sounds like my thing. So I feel like I contribute both my teacher experience and my foreign language enthusiast experience.
My name is Julia Tumanowska, and by my education, I'm actually a physicist and a chemist, but right now I'm working with translation and with Latgalian, and that's why I'm here. I'm self-taught in Latgalian and writing, and as a spoken language, it's my native language. And I've been interested in languages, many different languages, since I was a child, and I'm self-taught in writing Latgalian, and in this book I'm using one of my hobbies, which is translating songs into Latgalian, which I had done previously, and I have done a few songs for this book specifically as well.
Why make a textbook for Latgalian? Because we don't have any contemporary and engaging textbooks for Latgalian, and if you want to learn Latgalian on your own, especially if your first language is not Latvian, you don't have many options. It might be some old books that look more like pieces of museum exhibitions, not books that make you feel like Latgalian is a real language that people use and that young people use. What I like especially about this book is that it presents Latgalian as a language that is actively used and that is not old people's language, a language that is living and has a future.
Yeah, and then there has not been many resources available for learning Latgalian. Even for Latvian, it's still much to do and improve. But Latgalian, I think I think it's important for a language, for the status of a language, that there are people who learn this language as a foreign language, and I think that's one of the biggest motivations for us to learn. No, that is one of the biggest motivations for us to make this book, to give the possibility for people to learn Latgalian and give them a resource for doing that. The audio resources for this book has already been available for some time, and we know that people have used it. And now soon the book will be coming, and then we hope many people will learn Latgalian, that this might encourage people to learn Latgalian.
The book is primarily for people who don't speak Latvian as a first language, and that's also very cool, because usually it's some people get interested in Latgalian because of Latvian, and then it's this direct pathway. You don't have to go through Latvian to learn Latgalian.
Yes, I think that's really important. So that's the main target group, Latgalian as a foreign language without any knowledge of Latvian, but of course it's a secondary audience is people who know Latvian. It can be either Latvians or people who have Latvian as a second language or foreign language, but who get interested in also learning Latgalian, and or people who know Lithuanian, that Latgalian as a part of learning Baltic languages. Yes, and then the third audience for this book is Latgalians themselves.
I think one of the very good bonuses of this book is that it presents a lot of fun facts that neither Latvians nor Latgalians perhaps know, such as comparisons between related languages, or some minute grammatical details that people who are not into languages are not aware of. So it makes you much more aware of the context, the place of your language among related languages, and maybe it makes some people more interested in languages in general. It'd be very interesting to know, like, you're Latgalian, you went to school, and how much contact with sort of academic Latgalian did you get, if any?
Well, when I was around 14, we this after school opportunity appeared that we can go and learn Latgalian, or that's how it was presented. But in reality, it was about Latgalian, about Latgala in Latvian mostly. So I was a bit frustrated because I wanted to learn grammar. I wanted to learn how to write properly. But we didn't do that, and I didn't go much to that activity for a few months at most.
Yeah, so actually for Latgalian language there is kind of a double illiteracy, both Latgalian themselves not used to read and write in their mother tongue, and for other Latvians that also other Latvians are not used to read and hear Latgalian. So this is so we hope that this book also can contribute for other Latvians to get interested in Latgalian and make it easier for them to understand, but also as an additional tool for Latgalians that are not used to read and write their mother tongue. But this is not the target audience, and this is there would be other materials that are more useful for this. But still, the book presents Latgalian language, the standardized version of Latgalian, because Latgalian is very rich in different dialects. That's a treasure, that many of these dialects that are still alive, and you have the variety in dialects, but the written language is one standardized form, and this textbook is also based on this form, which is kind of close to Latgalian spoken in the Rezekne area.
In addition to a trove of exciting facts about language and Latgalian, there is a storyline going through the whole book. So it's adapted for beginners, and there is also a version of the text which is more advanced. So we are speaking to both of our target audiences, people with no Latvian knowledge and people with Latvian knowledge. And the learners can follow an exciting storyline and see what the characters are doing. And in addition to that, there is also a collection of dating app conversations, which makes Latgalian feel so much more alive and relevant. And they're fun. So it seems like you're reading an interesting anecdote, and the texts are not so demanding, and you get this emotional hook, and you want to find out what will happen to the characters and how they converse. So it's a bit of literature as well.
And actually, we invited real authors to write the storyline and the story, namely Ilse Jansson for the storyline and Elina Kokarevica for the very text, and then Elisabeth Wegner for the chats. So it was important that it's like textbook authors can be very good as like pedagogically and know a lot about language, but not always they are like they would not have that perspective when writing the story. So we wanted to first have the story and then work on the language that appears in this story.
And when you are engaged in a story, perhaps you do not notice that you're actually learning. So it's we learn when we are having fun. So that's another positive aspect of this book.
Yeah, so there are 4 main characters there, and there is some love stories, some misunderstanding, a bit of crime. So there are these elements that makes it appealing and interesting, that you want to see what happens next.
It was a lot of reading, and the reading is like you see the text on the page, you read it, and it's like the alphabet is the same and you know the words, but going through it is like trying to run when you're knee deep in water, or like through bushes or something, because it's supposed to be intuitive, it's supposed to be like easy, but getting used to it was hard. And it was basically reading a lot of text, trying to write, understanding that I'm making these basic mistakes that all other people are making, trying to find guides, trying to find where to find this grammar information and these rules, and I was all on my own basically.
Yeah, and at what point or how did you decide to, let's say, be more public about you using Latgalian, like with your Latvian friends and so on, so social media? So how does that feel, or how do you feel about that?
It's just I wanted to have this practice, and I wanted to practice, and writing, for example, your diary is you kind of do it on your own, but you want to at times it gets lonely, so, and that's why I started to use it in social media, just for myself, and somehow people are interested in that.
Another question that is actually related to this. Have you had any encounters with Latvians who, after like communicating with you or reading that you write on social media, have become more interested in Latgalian, perhaps because, you know, grandmothers, grandfathers from Latgale? Have you noticed anything like that?
I'm not sure. I think people usually have this spark or something inside of them, and just seeing it publicly is what pushes them to learn more.
So one way we try to get people interested in Latgalian culture is by having small text on Latgalian culture in the beginning of each chapter. But they are not that traditional view. They are kind of quite personal, or view of the author Oskar Sorlov's. So they are specially written for our textbook, and it's also kind of a bit with irony and so on, because there's a lot of other, you can find other information on Latgale otherwhere, but we would like to have this a bit of humor and different view on it. But we have also facts about like interesting facts about Latgale, and also some interesting persons connected to Latgale. Maybe you can tell something about them, how we chose them. And
we chose the people to represent a wide variety of people, both modern people, contemporary people, and people who have already died. Also, people from a large variety of professions, to show that Latgale is not only literature and books and museums, but also most of Latvian food and
also some world famous people who even Latvians maybe don't associate with Latgale.
yeah.
Yeah, Mart Krotko, I think it's
Yeah.
very, very famous Latgalian out in the world.
We take into account that people are perhaps not familiar with a complicated language with casus. What's it called?
Yeah, cases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we take into account that people have come from a different language background where they don't have noun cases and don't have so many different verb endings and so on. Things that are very intuitive for Latvians, but we try to explain it for true beginners in a friendly and approachable way. And we also try to make use of constructions in order to give building blocks of language so that it becomes easier to make a sentence, to express whatever you need. So I think that makes the complicated grammar less intimidating, that you already have instructions on how to build a sentence.
yeah, and I think that's important. It's also how language function in our brain. It's not like you have separate words and you put them together according to grammar rules, but there's quite more in between words and grammar, and we try to also show that in the textbook. So that's kind of our view of language, which is a basis for how we present. And you mentioned cases and also some way how we try to make it more approachable is using different colors for different cases, and also to use other ways to show grammar more visually, and also to have this approach. You mentioned like this Latgalian is a language where the endings are important because they express the tense of the verbs and person, and then you have the case endings, singular and plural, and for adjectives also there are separate indefinite and definite endings, which can be quite intimidating. And so we try to make it easier, and we have also, I think, something that I'm not sure if I've seen it. Probably we are not the first to have thought about that, but it's not that usual. But we have also this reverse approach that you can see, okay, you read the text, but you see, well, what is this ending? And then we have a overview over different endings and what they mean, so that you get this support in understanding grammar.
We do not only have the exciting storyline in the book, we also have thorough explanations of the more difficult grammar topics, and we have exercises that are of different difficulty levels. So we have like very beginner friendly exercises which are color coded as well, so that you can see, okay, this background means that this is an easy exercise, and then a different background for the exercise means that, okay, I shouldn't feel bad if I'm struggling with this. This is perhaps aimed more at Latvians who already know some. And there are also opportunities for classroom activities. So this book has the potential of being used in Latgalian courses, but you can always find ways to adapt and can, of course, try speaking on your own. And there are a lot of ideas for independent learning as well. We have presented some learning tips and some shortcuts to make it easier and to make the book as versatile as possible.
Yeah, and also suggestions to other resources you can use, because of course one textbook with these audio files, you can learn a lot there, but still it's important to listen a lot and read and watch series or films or to use the language in different ways. So that's also we also kind of lead people out of the book in the real world of Latgalian language. It has been very important for us to make this book appealing, and I think that a principle here is the multisensory approach. It's usually used for children or people who have difficulties of learning of different reasons, but we are human beings all life, and we use our senses, and we don't have, we have sound in the audio files, but we don't have smell and taste, but we have a lot of visual material, not only color coding, but a lot of illustrations. And these are made by a Serbian artist called Milica Kojovic. And she has made, I think there's hundreds and hundreds of illustrations in this book. Some of them are really funny and lots of humor. So it's something to discover also visually. And that's important, that this is not book only with its content. Well, then we could like just publish it online, but like it is a book which is visually stimulating, and you want to explore and get back to and just enjoy the book as a book, a physical book with these illustrations. Yeah, so as Latgalian is a language which is not that much used as a written language, it is a lesser used language. We have had to choose also what Latgalian to show in the book. For instance, there are two orthographic traditions, the so-called old orthography and the new orthography. The new orthography is from the has been used in Latvia since the 90s. And that's also what we have chosen for this book. The Latvian State Language Center is the institution in Latvia that standardized not only Latvian, but standard Latvian, but also standard Latgalian. So it is a state norm for the language, and that's what we follow in this book. But there are a lot of different dialects in Latgalian, and the variation is both in grammar and words. So we can't show the whole variety of Latgalian, but how is Latvian and Latgalian different when it comes to the words in the language?
a lot of words are of the same or similar origin, but there are also differences because Latvian is more influenced by Germanic languages, and Latgalian is more influenced by Slavic languages, and that's also reflected not only in the words differing entirely, but also some words differ by their grammatical gender because of their origin or influence.
Words in Latgalian can often be like the same as in Latvian, or they can have a different version, either of different origin or that they are different as words with like not long words, but they are made different. And also these are by some considered as better than other words, like that's more this purist approach that like there should be, like when it can be different from Latvian, it should be different from Latvian. So that's one approach. So some of these words are words that Latgalians don't use. It's like or used in only in some dialects, or they are very archaic, or many Latgalians themselves would not understand these words. So that's kind of important for if you want to, develop the language. Then some people think that this is important, but of course we cannot teach a non-existing language. So we have chosen not to include too much of those words, but also not on the other side where it's a type of Latgalian very close to Latvian, that you have the different pronunciation. So you have, like, it follows the Latgalian pattern of pronunciation, and maybe some different words, but otherwise very close to Latvian. That's also the type of Latgalian we didn't want to present in this book. So we have tried to balance. It should be words and ways of speaking that is in real use in modern Latgalian, but not too close to Latvian. But I like to say that this is a language with its own tradition and literature and its own way of speaking, like you have between the Scandinavian languages, or even between bokmål and nynorsk for Norwegian, that there is a different way of saying things, although you might have the same words, but you say it in a different way. And for us, it has been important to that it's not like something translated from Latvian, but it has this Latgalian feeling in a way, without being too archaic or having words that few Latgalians would understand.
In contemporary Latvian, there is a situation or problem that many young people start adding a lot of English words in their language. So what is it like when Latgalian youngsters or young people speak with each other in, like, let's say they speak in Latgalian, and do they add to the spice up the language with English words or Russian words, or do they make some words up? What is it like? Or how are those English words like made Latgalian, if they are? Because Latvians very often would just say basically, and they would add the English words without changing them at all. Like, what do Latgalians do?
Latgalians use all of the languages. Like, Latgalians use Latvian and English and Russian. It's not a limitation of only in English or only Latvian. I think we take from all of the languages that we know. What am I?
I think that Latgalian is different people would answer differently on what Latgalian is, dependent on what their views are about language and also what they know, actually. Because Latgalian is not only something that is not taught in school, but also in Latvia, people don't learn so much about Latgalian or read Latgalian books in schools and so on. So a lot of people kind of think it's just the dialects, but it's actually a standardized written language. It has a literature that has existed for more than 250 years. So it is a written language which is its history, and of political reasons, it is a language which is considered to be a variety of Latvian. So you have Latvian macro language, and then you have standard Latvian and standard Latgalian, which both are connected to different Latgalian dialects. But that's so it's one of two written varieties of Latvian, and it's the lesser used one, and it has not the same position status in society as standard Latvian has. So it's not only lesser used, but it has not the same position. It's not equal like bokmål and nynorsk are in Norway, which also you have one language but two written traditions and two written standards.
It's a question about, yes, it is a question about Latgalian, but also other Latvian dialects, like from Ventspils and so on, that there still is, I don't know if this will be a question or an answer to a question, but there has been this tendency for people who come from regions to adjust their language when they come to the capital, even though perhaps other people, the Riga locals, maybe would enjoy and understand very well what people are talking about, but there still is this hierarchical attitude, not only when it comes to Latgalian, but also other dialects, that people just, they switch their language and they talk their language, they talk Latgalian, perhaps only among their friends. So it's kind of assumed that the default common language will be literary Latvian, which I find strange sometimes. And why would people do that? But it's also understandable somehow why people would do that. And instead of speaking each their own language or dialect, which are mutually understandable without a problem, people somehow assume that the standard Latvian is what they have to switch to.
Yeah, but nobody says that. It's not a law that says that you have to use this Latvian, and then they are like I think that Latgalian and other varieties of Latvian could be used much more in more contexts, also in Riga and in radio and television. Like in radio, they even, if you have Latgalian accent in your Latvian, people haven't got their jobs as journalists because of they are speaking with a different accent, and I have background from Norway, and then it's very strange to see that this situation, that why can't you speak with a different accent, and why can't you speak your own dialect wherever you are in the country. So that's also kind of why we want to publish this textbook, that it is to give value to Latgalian language and the dialects connected to the Latgalian written standard, and so that more people will feel encouraged to use it, to learn it, and enjoy it, and to create more by appreciating more variety, contributing to a more inclusive society, not only when it comes to language, but other ways of variety in society.